So, can you be grateful for suffering?
Can you be grateful for? So this is, for me, a yes, but for a lot of people there's a paradox. So it could be a no, but for me definitely, because if you're on a path, because I wouldn't say I suffer personally. I say I get hurt or I go through the motions, but I don't suffer. Because if you suffer, it's like something happens to you, you go through the experience, and after that your mind suffers. Whereas I give my mind a time limit. So I'm like, okay, this has happened. How much time am I going to give this? I give my mind a command, like 3 days. So if I get sick, for instance, I give myself 3 days, and whether I get up or not, from the third day, my body has to stop.
Inside.
And it starts because I've commanded my body, and it might be a spirit thing as well. But in terms of, like, for instance, my trauma growing up, I absolutely can be grateful for it. Although it was not easy to go through, the ego doesn't like the feeling of this. The spirit says you needed this in order to see. So, yeah, for me if I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be able to see the way I do. I wouldn't be able to connect. I wouldn't be able to
relate.
Yeah, relate. I'm fearless now. So I'm fearless now because I've already dealt in fear. I've already dealt in anger. So I can only be grateful for that. Although in our people's minds, like, but how can you be grateful for trauma? Trauma's a trap and an excuse.
Yeah.
A real one. And so I've been very intentional about getting intentions in everything, and it's been something that Paul's locked it into us. But it's true though.
Yeah.
So because I've been using post-traumatic growth rather than post-traumatic stress syndrome. Because when people say, oh yeah, I've got post-traumatic stress syndrome, fair enough, but you're now trapped. If I've got post-traumatic growth, I've now given myself a new meaning, and I know there's a way out. Stress syndrome is a syndrome which traps you in. So it's all about meaning. I can give the meaning of growth, or I can give the meaning of suffering. If I give myself stress syndrome, stress doesn't go, it stays.
Yeah.
It takes a toll on your body. If I give myself growth, I grow out of it. Do you know what I mean? So
you're a prisoner to that information.
The language.
Yeah.
The language carries the energy, and the energy is what traps you in. So if I'm now suffering, there is no space for growth in suffering. If I'm growing, or I'm learning from an experience, or I'm taking it as information, I'm contextualizing this experience, then I can grow. But we don't give ourselves, or we don't have access to that kind of information that rewires us to think, oh, actually, you know, that experience, even simple things like, you know, you might have chose that before you came here.
Yeah.
Because your spirit needed to be tested.
Yeah.
So that it can test the strength of your heart. If people saw that all of your experiences was for you to grow, then we wouldn't be in a place now. If
grow or heal,
heal, help, grow, see, experience, appreciate, gratitude, all of those things. Because going through a lot of the stuff I've gone through makes me more grateful, because I know the lack of, I know the not having, so why would I want to continue having that?
Yeah.
I'm going to that side. I know what that is. Yeah. I've been traumatized. I've had all of that. I'm going to this side, or I'm going to have real connections, or whatever it is. What happens? Because you're in that energy, that intention, you start getting more of it anyway. So then you're like, oh, this is nice. This experience is nice. Yeah. So to me, suffering is not always a choice, but ultimately it is a choice.